Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by for Viomi Technology Company Limited earnings conference call for the second quarter 2020. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. Today's conference call is being recorded. I will now turn the call over to your host, Ms. Cecilia Lee, the Senior IR Manager of the company. Please go ahead, Cecilia.
Thank you, operator. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Viomi Technology Co., Limited earnings conference call for the second quarter 2020. As a reminder, this conference is being recorded. The company's financial and operating results were issued in press release earlier today and posted online. You can download earnings press release and sign up for the company's email distribution list by visiting the IR section of the company's website at ir.viomi.com. Participating in today's call are Mr. Xiaoping Chen, the founder chairman of the board of directors and the chief executive officer, and Mr. Chen, the chief financial officer. The company's management will begin with prepared remarks, and the call will conclude with a Q&A session. Before we continue, please note today's discussion will contain forward-looking statements made under the safe harbor provisions of the U.S. Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. Forward-looking statements involve inherent risks and uncertainties. As such, the company's actual results may be materially different from the views expressed today. Further information regarding these and other risks and uncertainties is included in the company's annual report on Form 20-F and other filings filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The company doesn't assume any obligation to update any forward-looking statements except as required by law. Please also note, Viomi's earnings press release and this conference call also include discussions of unaudited GAAP financial information as well as unaudited non-GAAP financial measures. Viomi's press release contains a reconciliation of the unaudited non-GAAP measures to the unaudited most directly comparable GAAP measures. I will now turn the call over to our founder and CEO, Mr. Xiaoping Chen. Mr. Chen will deliver his remarks in Chinese, followed immediately by English translation. Mr. Chen, please go ahead.
大家好，欢迎来参加云米2020第二季度的业绩电话会。那么，随着整个行业的经济从疫情当中逐渐的复苏，我们看到了经营情况的显著的提升。在今年的618大促的强劲推动下，加上云米空调等系列新产品的成功推出，我们在第二季度的销售收入超过16.8亿人民币，同比增长45.2%，大幅超过此前的预期。尽管2020上半年充满了挑战，但是在最近的618大促以及其他的促销活动下，为整体的行业复苏带来了积极的信号。我们取得了历年来618大促的最好成绩，全品类产品的零售额较去年翻番，多个品类，例如冰箱、洗衣机还有空调等的切梦微进入到主要电商平台的前10。这样具有张力的优秀业绩，也证明了我们的品牌知名度和市场渗透率在持续的攀升，消费者和渠道对我们的产品品牌以及价值定位产生了越来越浓厚的兴趣。我们多年以来增长源于我们在 IoT at Home 的战略框架下，保持不断的产品创新和迭代。随着我们成功的推出了云米空调系列产品以及21 Face 互动智慧屏，我们现在已完成了对家庭场景的全场景的布局。我们对 5G 产品的研发和优化也在持续的进行。在今年的5月新品发布会上，我们推出的21 Face 互动智慧屏也有2款上市，那在6路由器即将进入量产阶段。在其他的 5G 概念的产品也将在接下来的半年陆续面世。随着不断增长的 5G 网络普及率和消费者接受度的提高， 5G 无疑将成为今年以及今后行业增长的关键转型驱动力之一。我们相信我们差异化的产品和品牌定位，以及我们对 5G 产品持续的研发，将会使我们成为 5G IoT 时代的物联网家居领域的领航者，让用户充分的享受下一代的高速时代的 5G IoT 的体验。在优化用户的体验方面，我们在开发新内容应用以及21 Face 大屏冰箱的内容合作方面已经取得了很多积极的进展。我们最近对21 Face 冰箱的大屏系统进行了重要升级，新版本已经上线，推出了很多新的互联网内容，例如短视频的推荐、美食菜谱、母婴育儿等内容，还增加了很多智能语音识别等功能，优化了用户的体验。 在大品的内容方面，我们还建立了很多的新的合作伙伴关系。今年7月，我们与腾讯音乐旗下领先的音乐交互服务商酷狗音乐达成了战略合作协议，为我们的大品产品提供了丰富和新潮的音乐内容。域名用户已经在我们的大屏冰箱上使用酷狗音乐，享受内容的推荐，并且通过语音控制实现智能的播放。该合作符合我们 5G IoT 战略，并将丰富我们的互联网内容资源，促进云米大屏产品之间的跨场景、跨屏的内容交互。我们还在积极的布局、探索、促成与其他娱乐和社交媒体平台的这么一个战略合作，在 5G IoT 时代为用户带来更加丰富的内容体验。我们相信这些合作将助力我们增强用户的粘性，创造潜在的变现渠道，并进一步凸显我们与竞争公司的差异化。此外，我们通过新的合作来持续拓展我们多样化的销售渠道。7月，我们与湖南省大型零售企业、国内 A 股上市公司湖南友谊阿波罗商业股份有限公司签署了战略合作协议，双方将在产品入驻、品牌以及渠道资源共享方面、家居智能解决方案落地等方面开展合作。友阿股份将引进我们的 IoT at Home 产品矩阵，打造大型的 5G IoT 家庭智能体验馆，推动当地的家庭智能化的发展。此外，我们还与智能洗衣生活服务商浙江小蓝智慧等科技公司签订了战略合作协议。小蓝智慧将引进云米品牌洗衣机到学校、公寓、社区以及酒店等各类的智能洗衣场景。这些合作将继续的助力多样化我们的销售渠道，提升用户的消费体验，提高我们的品牌知名度以及市场的渗透力。同时也证明了有越来越多的潜在合作伙伴对我们的价值主张 IoT at Home 的这么一个品牌和产品定位有了更高的这个认可度。展望下半年，市场需求整体反弹，加上我们推出的许多新品，如空调产品，代表下一代趋势的云米品牌的净水器以及各类小家电产品，都将为我们进一步强化行业地位提供坚实的基础，并提升我们的品牌知名度，为我们提供具有吸引力的回报。鉴于此，我们在第二季度实施了2018年股权激励计划，以吸引并留住优秀人才，为员工提供额外的激励措施，推动公司在未来几年的业务取得成功。在2020年的上半年，我们成功的驾驭了充满复杂的市场环境。接下来，我们将把发展方向和重点放在以下几个方面。第一，我们将继续在 5G IoT 的战略下，保持业务的张力、稳定的现金流以及审慎的风险控制，在此基础之上实现高质量的可持续发展。第二，我们将采取进一步的措施，使我们的核心的业务定位更加的清晰，提高核心业务的运营效率，并采取更多有吸引力和更加有效的激励措施。第三，我们将努力的拉动整个云米集团的协同效应和规模经济，塑造我们的企业文化，为未来提供更多的成功奠定坚实的基础和更大的平台。鉴于以上几点，我们更加有信心的去实现我们的351长期的战略目标，在未来成长成为物联网家居领域的大型高科技企业。以上是我的部分，接下来请CFO 舒尔雷跟大家汇报一下。
Thank you, Xiaoping. This is Shun, Viomi CFO. I will quickly translate Mr. Chen's remarks before providing an operational update and discuss our financial performance for the second quarter of 2020. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our second quarter 2020 earnings conference call. We saw meaningful improvements in operating conditions in the second quarter as both the industry and the overall economy continue to rebound from the impact of COVID-19 earlier this year. Driven by a robust 618 sales season combined with successful new product launches such as our air conditioning systems, we are pleased to report that our second quarter revenues reached more than 1.68 billion RMB, representing a year-over-year increase of 45.2%, significantly stronger than expected. Although the first half of 2020 was challenging, the recent 618 online shopping festival and related promotional events have shown positive signs of an overall industry recovery trend. We achieved our best ever performance during the respective 618 sales season, more than doubling related retail sales value across our entire product range on a year-over-year basis. Various products such as refrigerators, washing machines, and air conditioners were ranked among the top 10 in terms of GMV on certain online e-commerce platforms. Such resilient and strong performance further demonstrates our ever-increasing brand awareness and market penetration, as well as consumers and sales channels' ever-growing interest in our products, concepts, and value propositions. The backbone of our constant growth has been our continued product innovation and new product launches under our IoT at Home strategic framework, With the recent successful introductions of our air conditioning systems and 21-face interactive smart screen TV, we now have a comprehensive presence across the entire range of major scenarios in the home environment. We also continue to make significant progress in the development and optimization of our 5G initiatives during the quarter. 2 models of our recently launched 21-face interactive smart screen TVs are already on the market. In addition, we expect to soon begin mass production of our Wi-Fi 6 CPE, together with other exciting 5G-related and enabled products in the second half of this year. With ever-increasing 5G network penetration and consumer adoption, this will no doubt be one of the key transformational drivers of industry growth in the near term and beyond. We believe our differentiated product and brand positioning, together with our focus on technology R&D in the space, will allow us to become a front-runner in this imminent 5G plus IoT era, providing seamless next-generation 5G IoT experiences to our users. In terms of such user experiences, we have achieved numerous advancements in developing additional content applications and partnerships for our flagship 21-face large-screen refrigerators. We recently launched a significant upgrade of our 21-face refrigerator large-screen operating system, including additional content offerings such as short-form video recommendations, gourmet recipes, and parenting workshops, among others, together with a number of voice recognition and user experience enhancements. On this front, we have also established a number of related cooperation partnerships. In July, we entered into a strategic collaboration agreement with Kugou Music, a leading interactive digital music-related services provider and subsidiary of the Tencent Music Entertainment Group, to offer innovative and trendy music streaming content. Viomi's users can now enjoy Kugou Music offerings on 21-face large-screen refrigerators and enjoy relevant recommendations and smart play through voice control. Such partnerships are in line with our 5G IoT strategy and will enrich our content offerings as well as enhance the cross-scenario and cross-screen content interactivity of Viomi's various large-screen products. To provide innovative and exciting content for the imminent 5G plus IoT era, we will continue to seek strategic partnerships with entertainment and social media platforms. We believe these collaborations will help further increase our user stickiness, create additional potential monetization channels, and further differentiate us from our peers. We've also continued to expand and diversify our sales channels through additional partnerships. In July, we entered a strategic collaboration with Hunan Friendship and Apollo Commercial Co. Limited, a large-scale Hunan-based retail group and Asia-listed company, for the promotion of our products, the integration of brand and channel resources, as well as the implementation of IoT at home solutions. Friendship and Apollo Commercial Co. Limited will introduce our IoT at home product portfolio and open large-scale 5G IoT smart home experience stores, promoting the development of local home smartification. In addition, we also established a partnership with Zhejiang Xiaolan Zhihui Technology Co. Limited, a technology company in the intelligent laundry industry in China, to introduce Viomi-branded washing machines across a broad spectrum of scenarios, including schools, apartments, communities, and hotels. Such partnerships will continue to help us diversify our channel presence, improve the customer shopping experience, as well as strengthen our overall brand awareness and market penetration. It is also a testament to these potential partners' increasing recognition of our value proposition, as well as our overall IoT at home brand and product positioning. Looking ahead to the second half, with a broader rebound in market demand, together with the ramp-up of many of our newly launched products, including air conditioning systems, as well as the next-generation Viomi-branded water purifiers and various small home appliance products, we have the foundation to further strengthen our industry positioning, enhance our brand recognition, and deliver attractive returns. To this end, we implemented our 2018 share incentive plan in the second quarter to attract and retain the best available personnel, provide additional and aligning incentives with our employees, and promote the success of our business for the years to come. Having successfully navigated such challenging market conditions in the first half of 2020, in the second half, first, we will continue to focus on dynamic business practices, stable cash flows, and undertake prudent risk controls to achieve high-quality, sustainable growth under our 5G IoT strategic framework. Second, we will undertake further initiatives in positioning our key business units to enhance operational efficiencies and provide more attractive and effective incentives. Last, we will strive to create greater synergies and economies of scale across the entire Viomi group, shaping our corporate culture to create a strong foundation and large-scale platform for future success stories in the many years to come. We are now more confident than ever in achieving our 3511 long-term objectives, our roadmap to becoming a large-scale high-tech leader in the IoT at home space. That concludes our founders' comments. I will now provide an operational update and discuss our financial performance in the second quarter of 2020. Despite the lingering impacts of COVID-19, as well as ongoing macro uncertainties, we achieved revenues that significantly exceeded our expectations and again demonstrated the resilience of our business and our ability to identify and capture attractive growth opportunities. Our profitability remained relatively stable as compared to the first quarter as we continued the implementation of various cost and expense control initiatives during the quarter, mitigating the margin impact of promotional campaigns and sales events such as the 618 online shopping festival. The number of Viomi offline stores remained at around 1,500 in the second quarter, relatively stable compared to the end of the first quarter. Our cumulative household users reached more than 4.2 million. Now let's turn to the detailed financial review of our second quarter results as well as the outlook for the third quarter. As Xiaoping discussed, net revenues were 1.6 billion RMB, an increase of 45.2% compared to the same period of last year. Revenues from IoT-enabled smart home products increased by 46.7% to 1.3 billion RMB from 906 million RMB for the second quarter of 2019, primarily due to the successful launch and continued rollout of certain new product categories. Within this category, revenues from our smart water purification systems decreased by 22.6% to 266.8 million RMB. The decline was mainly due to decreases in average selling prices, which offset the continued year-on-year growth in sales volumes. Going forward, we expect the impact of like-for-like decline in average selling prices of water purifiers to be more moderate, and the category is likely to return to positive revenue growth in the second half, driven by continued volume growth of Xiaomi branded products, together with the ramp-up of newly launched next-generation Viomi branded water purifiers. Revenues from smart kitchen and other products increased by 89.3% to 1.06 billion RMB. The revenue growth was primarily driven by the successful launch and continued rollout of certain products, in particular the pilot launch of our air conditioning systems, which were particularly well received by the market, as well as the strong performance of Xiaomi branded sweeper robots. Revenues from consumable products increased by 24.6% to 86.5 million RMB, primarily due to the increased demand for our water purifier filter products. Revenues from value-added businesses increased by 45.5% to 268.8 million RMB from 184.8 million RMB for the second quarter of 2019, primarily due to the new product introductions, together with increased demand for our small appliance products. Please note that from the next quarter, we will update the naming of our various product categories as follows. Smart water purification systems will be renamed as Home Water Solutions. Smart kitchen and other smart products will be renamed as IoT at Home Portfolio. Consumable products will be renamed as Consumables, and value-added businesses will be renamed as Small Appliances and Others. Hence, going forward, our revenue breakdown will comprise of the following categories in the following order. 1, IoT at Home Portfolio. 2, Home Water Solutions. 3, Consumables. 4, Small Appliances and Others. We believe these updates will provide investors with a clearer understanding of our core businesses. There is no revenue reclassification associated with this particular update. Future category results will be directly comparable to the respective previously named categories. Moving on. Gross profit was 241 million RMB and gross margin was 14.3% compared to 26.6% for the second quarter of 2019. The decline in gross margin was primarily due to shifts in our business and product mix, including the pilot launch and related promotional campaigns of our air conditioning systems, together with decreases in average selling prices of certain product categories during major sales seasons, including smart water purification systems in the quarter. The first half of this year was quite unique due to the unprecedented industry-wide impact of COVID-19. Based on the trends we are currently seeing, we do expect gross margin in the second quarter of 2020 to be a trough, and expect to achieve a degree of gross margin uplift in the second half, driven by recovering overall industry conditions, general premiumization of our product portfolio, and an increase in average selling prices as compared to the first half. Total operating expenses increased by 13.3% to 239.4 million RMB, primarily due to the growth of our business and an increase in share-based compensation of 20.9 million RMB, which is partially offset by the continued implementation of expense control initiatives during the quarter. We incurred share-based compensation expenses of 31.2 million RMB in the second quarter of 2020, as compared to 10.3 million RMB in the second quarter of 2019. The increase in share-based compensation expenses was due to the implementation of our 2018 share incentive plan during the quarter, from which we awarded approximately 15.6 million share options to certain employees, a small portion of which were immediately vested. In more detail for operating expenses, R&D expenses increased to 60.7 million RMB from 59.6 million RMB for the second quarter of 2019, primarily due to an increase in share-based compensation expenses of 17.5 million RMB to attract and retain research and development personnel, which was partially offset by continued implementation of expense control initiatives during the quarter. Selling and marketing expenses increased by 25.2% to 162.1 million RMB, primarily due to an increase in logistics and promotional expenses as a result of the growth of the company's business. G&A expenses decreased by 25% to 16.7 million RMB, primarily due to continued implementation of expense controls initiatives during the quarter. Total operating expenses as a percentage of revenues was 14.2%, compared to 18.2% for the second quarter of 2019. Excluding the impact of share-based compensation expenses, total operating expenses as a percentage of revenues was 12.4%, as compared to 17.3% for the second quarter of 2019. The decline in expense ratio was predominantly due to greater economies of scale and operating efficiencies, as well as the continued implementation of our various expense control initiatives. Net income was 10.3 million RMB compared to 88.9 million RMB for the second quarter of 2019. Non-GAAP net income, which excludes the impact of share-based compensation expenses, was 41.5 million RMB compared to 99.3 million RMB for the second quarter of 2019. Additionally, our balance sheet remained healthy. As of June 30, 2020, we had cash and cash equivalents of 634.2 million RMB, restricted cash of 45.4 million RMB, short-term deposits of 72.6 million RMB, and short-term investments of 294.3 million RMB. In total, over 1 billion worth of liquid assets. Now let's turn to our outlook. While future industry-wide uncertainties and challenges will be difficult to fully predict, based on our assessment of latest industry trends, we are cautiously optimistic that our financial strength, operational flexibility, and strategic direction will allow us to continue delivering robust growth in the second half. For the third quarter of 2020, the company currently expects net revenues to be between 1.4 billion RMB and 1.45 billion RMB, representing a year-over-year growth of approximately 30.8% to 35.5%. The above outlook is based on the current market conditions and reflects the company's current and preliminary estimates of market and operating conditions and customer demand, which are all subject to change. This concludes our prepared remarks. We will now open the call for Q&A. Operator, please go ahead.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. To ask a question, you may press star then 1 on your touch-tone phone. If you are using a speakerphone, please pick up your handset before pressing the keys. To withdraw your question, please press star then 2. For the benefit of all participants on today's call, if you wish to ask your question to the company's management in Chinese, please immediately repeat your question in English. At this time, we will pause momentarily to assemble our roster. The first question today comes from Hanley San of Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
陈总、蒋总还有Cecilia晚上好，感谢管理层组织这个电话会。我这边有大概3个问题，然后一会儿我也翻译一下。就是第一个就想请管理层分享一下，能不能更新一下就是最近大概7月份、8月份的一个恢复的情况。尤其想关注一下线下，就是包括这个大家看到的线下的恢复，然后线上是不是还持续好，就请线上线下分开讲一下，这是第一个问题。第二个问题就是我们看到就是小家电这个品类，就是它会有一些所谓一些比较非主流的一些产品嘛，比方说一些煮蛋器啊、酸奶机、面条机这种的，尤其疫情期间卖的还挺好的。那就想问一下，咱们云米这边就对这些所谓一些小而美或者不是这么很主流的这些小家电产品有什么布局，或者未来有什么一些想法之类的？这是第二个问题。然后我的第3个问题是就是关于这个净利润率，因为我看这个季度的这个在 non-GAAP 下口径下这个净利润率大概是 2.4 左右，主要是 GP margin 会弱，但是费用控制的还蛮不错的，就想请管理层展望一下，就未来就包括毛利率，包括费用率，当然最终会归结到净利润率的一个看法。我就这3条问题，然后我自己翻译一下。Thanks for the management. It's Hanli Fan from Morgan Stanley. I have 3 questions here. The first one is that can management help us update recent business operations, particularly in July and August? What's the recovery pace? Could you also elaborate split into the offline recovery and also the online channel? And my second question is that in the small appliances business, there are some newly launched kind of like niche products. For example, like the yogurt machine, noodle machine, something like that. They were pretty well sold during the COVID-19. So how's Viomi's preparation into these types of kind of niche products, and what's your kind of strategy into these small appliances? And my third question is about the net profit margin. So net profit margin at a non-GAAP level is 2.4% in this quarter, primarily coming from the gross profit margin decline. So could you give us kind of like outlook or guidance regarding the future net profit margin, put into the context of gross profit margin as well as the expense ratio? That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Hanli. I'll take your questions one by one. So first question's on sales recovery and channel performance. So since the February lows, there has been a noticeable month-on-month recovery in sales performance across online as well as offline channels. For online channels, the year-on-year recovery has been most evident since beginning around May, where we started to re-enjoy very healthy double-digit year-on-year growth. For Viomi branded products, the key drivers have been the various kitchen products, water purifiers, as well as small appliances, as well as, of course, air conditioning systems. For offline channels, year-on-year growth has re-emerged since around June and has continued to accelerate into July. Together with our offline channel partnerships, as well as new stores and points of sales, we're cautiously optimistic about the continued recovery of our offline sales channel performance going into the second half. We haven't really seen any slowdown in online channels heading into July or August or either. I think that the Viomi branded product sales through online channels, as discussed, more than doubled across the 618 sales seasons and has continued similar levels of strong performance heading into the third quarter, albeit off a relatively low base in 2019. I think if you look at our quarterly performance in 2019, it was more volatile, and you should expect a smoother quarter-on-quarter performance this year. Nevertheless, I think based on the current trends, we expect strong performance as we have guided for the third quarter, continuing going deeper into the second half and into the Double 11 shopping festival towards the year end. So strong performance across both offline as well as online channels based on current indicators in the third quarter so far. The second question based on, excuse me, second quarter based on, was a question on small appliances. So as you can see by, with the performance of our value-added businesses, or soon to be renamed to the small appliances and others category, small appliances have indeed performed very well in the second quarter, as well as the first half of 2020 in general, due to your aforementioned trends. The segment experienced close to 50% year-over-year growth in the quarter. Some of the key product categories, some of the key products within this category include, say, fans, vacuum cleaners, water dispensers, blenders, kettles, and of course, sweeper robots. So all quite popular products for the stay-at-home dynamic in the first half. Small appliances, in addition, will be a key growth category for our company going forward, and we have formed a specialized team focusing on trend-setting small appliance product innovation and development. We believe there are significant growth and market opportunities to be captured in this space, and we'll be devoting the necessary resources to create the appropriate incentives to ensure this initiative will become a success. So we look forward to sharing more progress with the market on this aspect in the quarters ahead. So we're quite excited about small appliances potential going forward. In terms of your third question on net margins, I think while a lot of uncertainties remain, I think we can definitely say that the performance trends in the second quarter, as well as heading into the third quarter, have been quite positive and ahead of expectations in the third quarter, not only from a revenue growth perspective, but I think also from a margin perspective. In terms of gross margins, as we discussed earlier, we do expect gross margin in the second quarter of 2020 to be a trough, and do expect a degree of gross margin uplift in the second half. The key drivers of this are recovering industry conditions, so less price competition, the general premiumization of our product portfolio, and an increase in selling prices as compared to the first half. So I think if you want to look at the overall net margin for the second half, while the exact uplift will be, I think it's a little bit too early to predict at the current time, you should expect some degree of uplift from what you saw in the second quarter of this year.
我再补充一下这个后面两个问题吧。这个是关于小家电的，因为这次的疫情之后的话，这种小家电产品受到市场和消费者的这种广泛的这种推广吧，所以小家电的整个行业的增长速度都非常的好。那么我们在这个上面，我们会专门针对这种趋势性的这种精品小家电，这种我们会现在成立了专门的团队去做这个事情，所以这样的话，我们接下来会在这上面会做些发力。我希望在小家电上面会成为接下来公司业务的一个主要的一个增长方向。那么至于对这些主单器啊，这些小产品，我们可能目前不是我们的主要方向，我们可能更关注于这些比较主流的产品，那么它的趋势性比较明显的这些产品，这是我们接下来的一些重点。这是关于第二个问题的一些补充。第三个方面就是关于这个净利率和费用控制这方面的这个事情，刚才硕儿也简单的回答了一下。我总体的基调是什么呢？就是说云米现在还处于一个高速成长的这么一个扩张阶段，所以我们会首先保持适度的扩张，所以可以看到我们的 Q2 和 Q3 的这种Q2 的数据和 Q3 的预测数据的话，都是以扩张排在第一位的。那么在这基础之上，我们保持一个这个产品结构的改善、费用的控制之上，保持适当的这种盈利的这种能力。所以我觉得规模扩张是我们目前的排在第一位的。我觉得因为这个事情，我觉得还是对于云米来讲，我觉得还是一个还有很长的这么一个成长空间。所以我们想把这个向上的这种成长的空间给打得更开一些。好，是。
Mr. Chen would just like to supplement the response for these two questions. In terms of the small appliances, we have also noted that the industry was growing very quickly, and especially for some of these niche products. I think we would like to re-emphasize that small appliances will definitely be a key strategic focus for us, and our team is definitely focusing on growing our market presence and penetration within this category. But I think in terms of our core focus products, we will more likely be focusing on some of the more mainstream small appliances category with larger addressable markets to imprint our presence as well as our brand in the near term as a core focus, rather than some of the more niche categories as Hanli identified. And also to supplement the response with regards to margins and profitability, I think just to add, as you have seen with our growth performance in the second quarter, as well as our guidance for the third quarter, top line growth and market share gains will continue to remain our number one priority, at least for the near to medium term. Of course, we are also implementing various cost and expense control initiatives to ensure a healthy level of profitability, and do expect a degree of margin uplift in the second half as compared to the second quarter. But I think it needs to be emphasized that as a rapidly growing company with a quite differentiated value proposition as compared to some of the more traditional peers in the market, our core focus will continue to be top line growth for the near to medium term.
The next question comes from Chen of CICC. Please go ahead.
Hi, Chen Zong, 晚上好. Thank you for taking my question. My first question is, what can we expect for your new product launch in your second half? Since your first half you have great success in your Viomi branded air conditioner system and your 21-face smart screen TV. What can we expect for the second half? That's my first question. And my second question is, you have your collaboration agreement with Google Music, and could you give me more color about this collaboration? Thanks.
Yep. So I'll answer the first question on the second half key growth drivers, as well, and Mr. Chen will take the question on the Google Music partnership and some additional content collaboration opportunities. So I think in the second half you should expect several trends, right? One is the continued ramp up of some of the new product categories we launched earlier in the first half, as you may have seen during our major product launch event in May. So some of the key products that we mentioned here are, of course, our air conditioning systems, a lot of new next generation Viomi branded water purification systems, as well as an overall overall upgrade and premiumization, as well as SKU expansion of our pretty much entire product range. Right. I think in the second half, across our key categories such as the refrigerators and washing machines, we will be more focused on higher ASP SKUs, as well as additional specific use SKUs or specialized SKUs that will encompass higher margins as compared to what we were initially focused on when we first launched these categories, whereas perhaps some lower ASP products to gain the market share. So in terms of new product launches, we do expect quite a number of new SKUs to come onto the market in the second half. In terms of the key categories, I think what we have now, at least for the near term, is pretty much a complete IoT at home portfolio, right, across the major appliances categories within the market. I think there's ample room for expansion still in terms of brand and channel penetration, as well as SKU expansion and optimization. But I think categories, we do have a lot of room for growth organically in that sense as well. So second half, I think overall recovery, overall industry recovery, as well as SKU expansion and ramp up of some of the newly launched products will be the key drivers of growth. And Mr. Chen will answer the second question on the Kugou Music and other content-related partnerships.
我们在Q2和这个酷狗音乐的这种合作的话，是增加我们大屏用户的这种在家庭厨房这种场景里面的这种些内容体验。那这些内容体验从目前来看的话，这种用户的使用的效果还不错。那么我们同时还会在接下来还会有视频内容的一些重要的合作伙伴会接入到里面来，这样的话就是会更加的丰富我们大屏用户的这样一些内容体验。这些体验的话，对于这个大屏用户的这种活跃度，这个提高的效果非常非常明显。那我们这个数据从内部的目前的数据来看的话都挺好，所以我们会在接下来再找些时间会把我们关于这方面这些运营的数据的这种增长情况会向大家来披露一下，这个方面的数据我觉得是值得期待的一个事情吧。好。
Yeah, so I think the partnership with Kugou and other related partnerships that including live streaming and content partnerships that we expect to be announcing shortly. The idea of this is to increase the content as well as enhance the user experience that users can engage with our products, right? For example, the 21-face large screen refrigerators. Obviously, a key point of sale for these refrigerators is what they can provide outside the core kind of refrigeration capabilities in terms of content, data collection, control, entertainment, and whatnot. And the overall idea of this to continue to increase engagement, increase the overall smartification of these products within our overall IoT at home framework. So I think based on initial data that we've collected, the engagement has been very positive. The trends are definitely very encouraging, and we hope to continue to collect and improve some of these data metrics as we continue to adopt more kind of these content partnerships and user enhancements going forward. I think we will continue to collect such data, and we'll share with the market in the coming quarters once the data is a little bit more refined and mature. But we are very excited about these various initiatives.
谢谢Xiaoping总，恭喜那么强的那个收入成长。Thank you, Chen. Congratulations for the strong revenue growth this quarter. Thanks.
Next question comes from Vincent Yu of Needham & Company. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking the question, and congrats on the strong quarter. I have 3 questions. The first 2 are quite like more general questions. One is in which product line the company sees the most growth potential for second half 2020, and the second question is our view on how home appliance consumer demand will trend during the second half 2020. And my third question is a follow-up on the question the refrigerator cooperation with these other internet companies, like if on the screen of the refrigerator, if the users are like, for example, watching advertisements or going to open a membership on iQIYI or Kugou, are we going to share revenue on these activities? Also, is that possible to share how we cooperate with the fresh food e-commerce companies? Like, if the customer ordering fresh food on our refrigerator screen, like generally how much what kind of like revenue sharing mechanism will work? 那谢谢管理层，我非常恭喜这个技术强劲的表现我有大概3个问题。第一个是在下半年我们觉得哪一个产品线会看到最强的那个增长呢？ 第二个问题是关于下半年在家用电器方面，我们觉得用户的增长会怎么样呢？用户需求增长会怎么样呢？然后第三个问题是关于这个刚才提到的这个冰箱上和酷狗和酷狗合作，就至于说比如说用户在这个我们冰箱上的屏幕和这些平台产生交互，然后比如看广告，或者说买了会员，或者说在生鲜购物网站订了电商订单，那这些方面我们是如何和他们去分享一个收入，或者说是怎么样一个合作机制呢？谢谢。
Yeah, thanks, Vincent. I'll take your questions. First question is with regards to which product lines the company sees most growth potential in the second half. I think in terms of like-for-like growth versus last year, of course, air conditioners is a relatively large product category. And as a new product introduced this year, will be a significant contributor to year-over-year growth. But nevertheless, I think based on the trends we are seeing in July and heading into August, growth is recovering across nearly the entirety of our product lines, especially for some categories that were lagging in previous months, such as refrigerators and washing machines. Additionally, as discussed, we're placing significant emphasis on next generation Viomi branded water purifiers, as well as various trend-setting small appliances products, and expect these categories to add a new layer of growth for the upcoming quarters as well. Your second question on views on how home appliances consumer demand will trend during the second half. I think if we look at the performance of some of our peers that have reported their first half results, as well as some of the major online retailers, together with their kind of overall consumption outlook, I think the tone is relatively positive, definitely as compared to, say, earlier in the year, with the worst of the impact of COVID-19 in the past. Although uncertainties and challenges will definitely continue to remain in the second half, as mentioned, based on the current trends that we're seeing, we're cautiously confident in a continued and sustained rebound in overall consumption demand in the second half. Thirdly, on the kind of the monetization opportunities for some of these internet services initiatives, I think, look, there's a lot of options and paths to monetization, right? Whether it's revenue split, kind of advertising revenues, or kind of other user engagement channels and whatnot. I think the core focus for us at the moment is to enhance the user experience and build out our user base. I think that is going to be our core focus, and ties into what Mr. Chen mentioned earlier on how our near to medium term focus will continue to be on top line growth as well as market share gain, right? This concept of building out our installed base. This will be key to kind of make mainstream our product concepts, as well as gain greater recognition, as well as being able to engage into more of these content partnerships and relationships, and offer users this unique experience and value proposition. And then after this initial phase, we can then think about kind of the various monetization opportunities that you mentioned, right? We have various ideas, but I think at the moment we shouldn't expect too material of such services related revenues. I think the metrics that we're kind of most keeping track of is of course installed base and user stickiness, as well as user activity will be our core focus for the near term. I think as the installed base continues to grow and becomes more mature, and then I think we'll have many options available to us as to how to best create a monetization plan.
我再把2个问题我把3个问题再总体再看一下，就是第一个问题和第二个问题，就是在经过疫情这个调整之后的话，就是我觉得就是我们现在的几个小家电产品是有可能是行业会保持一个快速增长，另外就是行业也在快速的这种做 做结构性的转换，提供消费者对于趋势性的产品，对于一些智能化的产品的关注度，我们看起来是在提高的。所以接下来我们应该会在原有的几个厨电、冰洗到这些品类吧，原有的品类都可以保持一个较快的增长。那么另外就是对于新品类，空调和小家电增长速度应该会非常的大。这是第一个、第二个问题的综合一下。那么第三个问题是关于这个酷狗这些合作的话，其实我们目前的这个在大屏冰箱这些用户的运营上面的话，其实我们目前的主要会有三个方面。第一个就是流量，就是广告展现这方面的一些收益。第二个就是关于导流的，其实我们做电商导流到一些这种电商的平台去做佣金的这种分享，这第二部分。第三部分就是关于一些这种商品的这种购买，就是商品的电商购买这部分。实际上这三个部分我们目前都在跑数据，那么这些数据的话，从目前情况都是在未来是有可能去实现比较好的这么一个收入方面收入维度吧。好。
好的。
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chen. Just wanted to re-emphasize just a couple of points, right? I think on the first couple of questions, as discussed, small appliances is going to be definitely one of our key growth categories going forward. And even in larger appliances, right? Given the impact of COVID-19, we're definitely seeing a transformational stage within the industry where people or consumers and users are more focused on kind of enhancing their home living lifestyle, paying more attention to, say, the user experience of such products, and more kind of engage with products with these next generation IoT capabilities. So this definitely presents a good opportunity for us and is reflected into the trends that we saw in the second quarter as well as heading into the second half. And last question on the monetization opportunity, I think just to re-emphasize again, the near-term focus will be to build out our installed base, and then there's several or many kind of monetization avenues going forward, including advertising revenues, GMV, revenue sharing for subscriptions or whatnot that we'll all look forward to exploring down the road. Okay.
The next question comes from.
Thank you.
The next question comes from Robert Cowler, 86 Research.
Hey, management. Thanks for taking the time. So I wanted to ask about the share-based compensation in the second quarter. It looks like y'all significantly stepped up the SBC there, and it makes sense given the situation that we use share-based compensation as a way to retain some of the important members of the team. I guess on this front, I want to ask if you can provide any more color on the structure of the grants that y'all provided in the second quarter. So the first would be about the number of participants, or if you could provide any more specificity as to specifically which teams or departments are getting this SBC, and then also on vesting schedule and strike prices, if you could provide any maybe an average strike price or some sort of color on either of those fronts, it would be helpful for us to better understand the incentive plan. So thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Robert. So as discussed, we issued around 15.6 million options to approximately 100 employees, so quite a diverse plan. These employees predominantly were in the R&D teams as well as certain management personnel, predominantly R&D focused personnel, right? In terms of the kind of the terms of these options or the incentive plan, as disclosed in our prospectus as well as the 20th annual report, these are 5-year vesting period incentive plans with 40% of the amount issued matured after 2 years. So 0 after 1 year, 40% after 2 years, and then 20% for the next 3 years, accumulating to the entirety of the plan. The average strike price or the average kind of exercise price is around 0.55 to 1.1 US dollars per share, which translates into around $1.65 to $3 or $3.30 per ADS. Right, so these are relatively in the money options. A small portion of these were vested, so just over 1.5 million were vested immediately. So some backdated options to certain management employees that were hired a few years earlier. I think the overall impact on our share-based compensation expense line item, while I think outsized this quarter, should not be too different from what we had historically expensed. The historical SB expense was predominantly due to or predominantly arose from the amortization of our 2015 share option plan, which has now largely been fully amortized. So now this 2018 share option plan is in essence replacing the 2015 share option plan. Now, in this particular quarter, the expense was slightly outsized due to the kind of the immediately amortized portion that were expensed kind of on a one-off basis. I think over the second half of this year, you should expect around, say, 40 million of SBC expenses in relation to the 2018 plan, subject to, of course, exchange rates or any forfeitures. And so on average, around 20 million per quarter, and probably slightly decreasing over time given the amortization schedule.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
At this time, we show no further questions, and I would like to turn the conference back over to management for closing remarks.
Thank you once again for joining us today. If you have further questions, please feel free to contact Viomi's Investor Relations Department through the contact information provided on our website, or the PSNT Group, the company's Investor Relations Consultant. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day and night.
The conference is now concluded. Thank you for attending today's presentation. You may now disconnect.